That issue is whether Barr was truthful when he said the attorney, the counsel, Robert Mueller, had not had any issues with his characterization of the Mueller report itself, when in fact, just 2 days after he received it, Mueller had sent him a letter saying he had serious issues with that. Does that represent perjury? Does that represent something more sinister? Again, Democrats are opening up a firing line on this. Others are saying it's much ado about nothing. Let's get the read from former Justice Department Deputy Director of Public Affairs, Ian Prior. One thing that seems certain now, Ian, is regardless of how people feel on this subject, it's not going away. The hearings aren't going away. The nastiness isn't going away. And if anything, the back and forth and the lawsuits on each side indicate it drags into the summer. What do you think?
It's certainly not going away. I mean, look, Democrats didn't get what they wanted from the Mueller investigation, from the results of it, and they're trying to continue to make controversy, and the media is playing right along. I think there was a lot of criticism from the media on Barr's testimony. I think he did a good job. I think it's clear that he knows more about the law, about the Department of Justice and the role of the Attorney General than the folks that were up there grandstanding and trying to get their points with the press.
I do wonder, I think the chicken thing that they did, I mean, the guy took body blows for what, more than 5 hours in Senate testimony. His issues seem to be why the House Judiciary Committee would suddenly employ, a special lawyer or lawyers to question him, when in fact 2/3 of that body consists of lawyers. The chicken thing didn't jive with me. What do you think?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, this is the House of Representatives. That's a campaign stunt that you pull when you're running for Congress. Barr was up there at the Senate yesterday testifying all day. He obviously is willing to go testify, but when the House changes things up and says, oh, no, we're going to have our staffers question him. This is the Attorney General of the United States. There's a precedent here. You don't have staffers question in oversight hearings. You have the actual members of Congress. It's their job. It's not the staff's job. So for them to change it up, I think Barr did the absolute right thing in not going there and not setting the precedent that you can just haul cabinet officials and have staff question them like it's some kind of investigation.
Ian, it's more from whether Russia, was colluding with the Trump administration. That part seems to be settled. I stress seems to be settled to what did Barr know and when did he know it? What did he know of these concerns of Mueller and when did he relay it? Indications are when he was asked whether he had heard or had any problems from Mueller and indicated no such thing, when in fact he was in receipt by that point of a letter from Mueller outlining, his concerns. Is that to you misrepresenting at a minimum what's going on, to the extreme, as Democrats are saying, perjuring himself?
No, absolutely not. And I went back and I looked at the exchange between Charlie Crist and Bill Barr.
Right.
And Crist, asked a rambling question about the news reports and what were the news reports referring to. And Barr said, I don't know, because he doesn't know what the news reports are referring to based on anonymous sources, right? And then he went forward and said, I presume that they're probably concerned that I didn't put enough out there. Concerns that were certainly alleviated when a few weeks later he put the whole report out there. So this whole issue is really much ado about nothing. The report is out there. Everybody can read it for themselves.
No, fair enough. And that's a very good point. But again, I think just to be clear, when he originally said that he wasn't aware of Mueller had taken issue with any of his top-line findings, when in fact he got a letter saying as such, it is a moot point if the report's out there and people can judge for themselves. But do you think that's going to be a sticky point and just widens this, at least for Democrats?
I think Democrats are going to seize on anything they can. I mean, especially when you have a presidential election coming up and you have every presidential candidate out there calling on him to resign. Of course, just because he doesn't agree with their point of view, he's not going to resign. He works for the executive branch. He doesn't work for Congress. So they're going to keep this issue alive until the next issue, and that may be when Mueller testifies, and they'll find some little crumb there and they'll blow it out of proportion and try and appease their base and get some credit with their friends in the media.
All right, and thank you very, very much.